I never could have foreseen that this single moment would irrevocably alter the course of my life. It was an ordinary day, but everything changed the instant I stepped into that room. As I caught sight of the door ajar, an unsettling shift coursed through me. In an instant, I stood at the precipice, the weight of my decision heavy in the air. I could have retreated, turned away from the truth that lay before me, but I chose to confront it. In that moment of revelation, a chilling certainty gripped my heart. I understood that nothing would ever return to the way it was. Indeed, I bear the weight of responsibility, for it was I who ignited the spark and failed to extinguish the flames. Mark found himself at work, the weight of the day pressing down on him. The house stood in eerie silence, its shadows stretching long and foreboding as if holding secrets too heavy to bear. Silence enveloped the space, yet a whisper of sound drifted down from upstairs, sending a shiver down my spine. Ethan sat alone in his room, the silence pressing down on him like a heavy weight. Initially, it barely registered in my mind, a fleeting instant of a young man ensnared in the depths of his own thoughts. But perhaps he craved coffee, a simple comfort amidst the chaos. A brief exchange could stir something deeper. With each step up the stairs, a sense of unease gripped me as I strained to discern the source of the unsettling sounds echoing around me. As I approached his room, a chill ran down my spine when I saw the door standing slightly ajar. I inhaled sharply, ready to call out to him, but then my gaze fell upon Ethan. He sat on the edge of his bed, the glow of his laptop casting shadows in the dim room. His lap held the device, the bright screen illuminating his face with an eerie glow. His hands were in motion, and for a fleeting moment I believed he was merely captivated by something thrilling, perhaps an intense action movie. But as I took one more step, shifting my angle, a chilling wave washed over me, draining the color from my face. In that instant, everything became painfully clear. I understood precisely what Ethan was orchestrating as my eyes locked onto the reflection on the screen. An icy wave surged through me, gripping my very core. This caught me completely off guard. I never wished to witness this moment unfold. Ethan scrambled desperately, attempting to regain his composure, his heart racing as he lowered himself. The volume on his laptop surged, yet the moment had slipped away, irrevocably lost. The moment had irrevocably unfolded as our gazes locked. His cheeks flushed a deep crimson, the weight of his shame unmistakable in his eyes. I apologize, he faltered, his gaze dropping to the floor, the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air. I stood there, paralyzed, as if time itself had come to a standstill. I opened the door, my heart racing with anticipation. I began, yet I found myself lost, grappling with the very essence of my thoughts, unsure of how to articulate the turmoil within. A peculiar warmth surged within me, igniting a tumult of emotions. Embarrassment washed over me, but beneath the surface, my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, elusive and chaotic, slipping through my fingers like sand. I rushed out of the room, my heart racing wildly, each beat echoing in my ears. I buried my hands in my face, struggling to control my breath. What on earth was that? I murmured softly to myself, the weight of my thoughts heavy in the air. What had I just unleashed? Why had I been so reckless? Was I truly the sole one to blame in this tangled web of consequences? Enough, Olivia! I commanded myself with a fierce intensity, yet the turmoil within me was ignited by forces far beyond the mere sights I had witnessed. Ethan had reached the age of 23. He had shed the innocence of youth. Yet at 47 I was a woman burdened by the weight of my own shame, a shadow that loomed over my every step. Never had I found myself in such a harrowing predicament, yet the weight of shame pressed down on me with an unmistakable intensity. I stood, heart racing as the weight of the moment pressed down on me, paralyzed in the hallway. My heart pounding fiercely, I ran my fingers through my hair, desperately attempting to regain my composure. As Ethan stepped into the room, a palpable silence enveloped the air. His fingers nervously tugging at the collar of his shirt, a subtle gesture that hinted at the storm brewing within him. He cleared his throat, his gaze lingering elsewhere, heavy with unspoken words. Olivia, I'm so sorry. I believed I had closed the door, he stammered, his voice trembling with uncertainty, yet laced with genuine remorse. I swiftly averted my gaze, my head shaking in denial. No, actually, I should be the one to apologize. I should have knocked before entering, I said, my voice trembling, uncertainty gripping me as I struggled to find the right words to say. Silence. But this silence was unlike any other. We had shared the same space for years, yet never had we gazed at each other in such a way. This was the first time. The air crackled with an unspoken weight. I should head downstairs and start preparing something for dinner, I said, my words tumbling out as I turned abruptly toward the stairs. My voice quivered, a fragile attempt to maintain composure. Ethan remained silent, his gaze locked on me, as if he were unraveling a complex puzzle hidden between us in his mind. Before the pivotal moment unfolded between Ethan and me, remember to subscribe to my channel, activate notifications, and immerse yourself in this tale until the very end. I assure you, the excitement is about to reach a fever pitch. Until that evening, we exchanged no words, no texts, no glances, not even the faintest attempt at small talk. Yet within that heavy silence, an unspoken truth lingered. Everything was about to change irrevocably. At dinner, we occupied the same table, yet our eyes remained averted. The only sound that pierced the air was the clinking of silverware. Clashing against our plates, it echoed in the heavy air. We were trapped in a silence that begged for release, both of us acutely aware of the unspoken words that hung between us. Days slipped by, each one cloaked in an unsettling normality. Yet beneath the surface, everything was unraveling. Our quietude only intensified the invisible rift, stretching it to a breaking point. Then, one fateful afternoon, Ethan took a seat beside me. I could see the uncertainty flickering in his eyes, but the urgency to mend what was broken was unmistakable. Olivia, about the other day. I'm really embarrassed. I'm sorry. I never intended for things to spiral like this. Please, I can't let this destroy what we have, he pleaded, his voice trembling with a mix of anxiety and genuine emotion. I inhaled sharply, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. Despite the strangeness and unpredictability of the situation, I felt an urgent need to soothe him. I forced a smile, my shoulders lifting in a subtle gesture, and said, "Oh, Ethan, trust me, I've endured my own share of mortifying experiences throughout the years." Then I recounted a few of those moments, each one heavy with the weight of vulnerability. His smile wavered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face as he nodded. The weight of his embarrassment slowly lifting, yet the tension lingered in the air. That moment, it felt as if the weight of the world had momentarily eased between us, yet deep down an unsettling truth lingered, whispering that nothing had truly passed despite the glimmers of hope that had begun to surface. This conversation shattered the fragile barriers that once defined our connection, and I could sense it, a palpable weight in the air. The situation was on the brink of spiraling into something far more intense. Ethan released a soft, almost nervous chuckle, his eyes dropping to the table as if seeking refuge from the weight of the moment. "I suppose we're even now," he murmured, a heavy silence hanging in the air. I furrowed my brow and shifted my gaze toward him, a storm of emotions brewing within me. "What do you mean?" I asked, a tremor of uncertainty lacing my voice. In an instant, his expression transformed, as if a sudden realization struck him. He had uttered something unexpected he was powerless to reclaim. He rubbed the back of his neck, a moment of hesitation hanging heavily in the air, yet he had already embarked on this path, leaving him with no option but to press on, the weight of his decision heavy upon him. He inhaled sharply, his gaze drifting away as he whispered, "I've seen you." In the same way. You just weren't aware. It was as if a jolt of electricity coursed through my veins. I stood frozen, caught in the weight of the moment. "What?" I breathed, the crushing gravity of his words enveloping me. Ethan's face burned with intensity, yet he pressed on, undeterred. "I kept it hidden from you, shrouded in shame. But it lingered in the shadows of my mind, an indelible mark that refused to fade. In truth, it was a secret I held close to my heart, a haunting thought that lingered relentlessly in my mind. My heart raced uncontrollably. A peculiar warmth coursed through my veins, an unsettling feeling that whispered of a shift in the air. Ethan's words resonated with a weight that transcended mere confession. They obliterated every final barrier that stood between us. I fixed my gaze upon him, the air thick with unspoken words. His gaze was fixed on me, a silent weight hanging in the air. This moment, we both understood that this was far from an ordinary conversation. The air in the room had grown heavy, charged with an unspoken weight. Everything had changed irrevocably. From that fateful day onward, nothing would ever be the same. There had always been a chasm between us, an unseen barrier that held us at bay, but now it felt as though that barrier had shattered into oblivion. Unbeknownst to me, I found myself drawn into an unexpected whirlwind of moments with Ethan, each one more consuming than the last. Seemingly trivial exchanges, small moments that appeared inconsequential, yet each one ignited the simmering tension that lay between us. Now we found ourselves sitting side by side, lost in the flickering glow of the screen, sharing moments that felt both intimate and charged with unspoken emotions. Before, we maintained our distance, yet now an undeniable force drew us together, a silent connection that lingered in the air, something we both sensed but never dared to acknowledge or understood. In those moments, when Ethan's arm lay casually on the couch, when my hand inadvertently grazed his leg, or when our laughter mingled in the air, an unsettling sensation stirred deep within me. Yet I fought against the urge to dwell on it. On a restless night, sleep eluded me. I lay in bed, caught in a relentless struggle, my mind racing while my body remained trapped in a restless turmoil. Perhaps there was but a single thought consuming my every waking moment. Ethan, this simply cannot continue. I found myself at a crossroads, compelled to draw a line in the sand. If he harbored any feelings for me, I knew I had to confront it head-on and bring it to an end in that moment.